by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
Good morning. Welcome to Unitarian Universalist Church West, located in Brookfield, Wisconsin, on land formerly inhabited by the native peoples of the 7 Council Fires, Ho-Chunk, Kickapoo, Potawatomi, Menominee, Peoria, and Miami nations. Of these, only the Forest County Potawatomi community currently has rights to less than 7 acres of trust land in the vicinity. We offer gratitude to all of the peoples who have cared for and continue to care for this land where we make our home. Let us pledge ourselves to working for reconciliation and good relations with all the original peoples of this place. Whoever you are, from wherever you come from, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, however you define family, you are welcome here. The identities you hold, how you want to be called, and your pronouns are respected and are welcome here. Whatever the color of your skin, the language your grandparents spoke, the cultures that move in your being, the abilities and disabilities you hold, we welcome you here. We welcome all of you. My name is Jeannie Baker, and I'm a member of your Board of Trustees. Because of the subject matter today, and because I just genuinely appreciate being in this community, I am very happy to be with you today. It is a gift and a privilege to be together as a community gathered intentionally, whether in person or joining online. It matters that you choose to be here today as we continue our conversation about people of courage. Today, the topic is the courage to vote, a message that is really needed in this time, in this state, and in this country. Today is UU the Vote Day. In fact, this whole weekend has been full of UUA activities all over Wisconsin. You've probably seen them, working to UU the Vote. After the service, all are invited to write postcards in the community room, and Reverend Julie will be speaking about that more later. Very excited about this. If you're visiting us, I hope that you will feel at home here. If you'd like to connect further or ask a question, talk to any of us after service, talk to me, talk to Reverend Julie, talk to anybody, or send us an email at visitor@uucw.org. You can also fill out one of the yellow forms that are in your order of service and place it in the offering basket. Note that the yellow slip has 2 sides. One side welcomes newcomers, and the other side is for us during the meditation time You're invited to use the other side to share personal joys or concern, or after the meditation time. There's an activity table set up over there in the corner where those of any age can find something to color or keep hands busy as you listen. The community room is also available where you can stretch and move while still being able to view and hear the service. Please use that space if it's more comfortable for you. That's what it's for. After the story time, those grades 8 and younger are invited to go with our religious education leaders to their own time and space. Our nursery is almost ready to welcome the youngest of us. Until that happens, and every Sunday, all ages and voices are welcome here in the sanctuary. As you've already seen, we're trying a new thing today. I can't see it, is it on? It's not on? Okay. We're trying a new thing today, which is to bring authors and composers more fully into the service by projecting a picture of them on the screen in the sanctuary at appropriate times. Those of you viewing online will unfortunately not be able to see this, but we hope for those in person that this will add some dimension and some context and flavor to the service. Now, I'd like to highlight a very few announcements. Lot going on up here, so I realize it looks like I'm closing a real estate deal, but we just have a lot of things going on. So this is an important announcement that's not in our order of service that just happened. And folks online, heads up. We've just gotten a notice from Local Live. That's our service that every weekend records and takes care of our online presence. That they are unable to fade to different camera shots or slides for today's service. So that means the entire Local Live broadcast is this, rather than the presets that they normally have of the choir, of different things. So folks online, I'm sorry, this is a problem that's happening today. We very much apologize that you'll not be able to see close-ups or other parts of the service today, but it's a problem they're having, and it's not anything we can deal with right now. Other activities and announcements, and this seems to be a week with a lot of really important activities and announcements. It was hard to just pick a couple, but I am going to say, please join us after the service for You the Vote. This is a very effective way to get in touch with people, and I'm excited about it. Look at announcement number 4. The fabulous UU Church West auction is coming. If you have things you'd like to donate, please use the link. Talk to Leslie Peterson or Lynn Capitan after service. They'll be around in the community room. This is an important event for our church. It only happens once every 2 years. Heads up, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I also want to highlight Lunch with Reverend Julie on Friday, November 4th. This is part of ongoing conversations and is going to be offered the first Friday of every month. So bring a lunch and a beverage and come prepared to share your thoughts and hear the thoughts of others. The final announcement is kind of a group announcement. If you look at the bottom of your page, 10, 11, 12, 13 are all looking for folks to participate in ways in the church that I think might be of interest to almost everybody sitting here. We need chalice table people, we need greeters, we need coffee, and we need ushers. These are easy sign-ups. You probably know a lot of the people who do this, and you can talk about it. Very much needed and very much a part of what we are every week. So I hope you each feel welcome and prepared. Let's enter our time of worship together. Thank you.
All That We Have Been, All That We Will Become was written by Leslie Ahuva Fales. It contains the words, "Blessed are you, Spirit of life, who has sustained us, enlivened us, and enabled us to reach this moment." This is an adaptation of a Hebrew prayer called the Shehekiuna, In Leslie's words, it's a blessing for any time you do something you haven't done in a long time, or you're doing something for the first time, or when doing annual events that you should feel blessed for having lived to see come around the wheel of the year again, or for when you survive a close call, or when you're about to do something adventurous. It's a blessing for courage. So today, let us take it on as a blessing for anything we do that requires us to call forth courage, and maybe also for that thing we do called voting. All that we have been separately and all that we will become together is stretched out before us and behind us and above us like stars scattered across a canvas of sky. We stand at the precipice, arms locked together like tandem skydivers working up the courage to jump. Tell me, friends, what have we got to lose? Our fear of failure? Our mistrust of our own talents? What have we got to lose? A poverty of the spirit? The lie that we are alone? What wonders await us in the space between the first leap and the moment our feet, our wheels, however we move our bodies across this precious earth, touch down softly on unknown soil? What have we got to lose that we can't replace with some previously unimaginable joy? Blessed are you, Spirit of life, who has sustained us, enlivened us, and enabled us to reach this moment. Give us courage in our leaping and gratitude in our landing, and share with us in the joy of a long and fruitful ministry together. Give us courage. Courage in our leaping, in our landing, and courage in our worshiping together. And let's begin by singing a song of courage, the courage to create change. So please rise in body and or spirit and join me and our singers, or well, I guess the singers are amongst you, in We Are Building a New Way. It's in the Teal hymnal at number 1017.
We'll light a flame here and ask those of you at home to do the same. The flaming chalice is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism. We are led by its light, inspired by its flame, and drawn together by its warmth. Today's chalice lighting words were written by Tracy Bleakley. Let's read it together responsively with those of you on the south side. Phil, this is the south, right? The south side. With a part, and those of you on the north side with another part, and those of you in the middle, you know in your heart which ones you want to read with. Do it. Okay. South. This chalice burns with twin flames. The first flame burns for those who seek and defend the right to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, so that each person may live according to conscience in a democratically elected society. North. The second flame burns for the defenders of freedom, working against those who would impose their own beliefs on others through intimidation or legislation. All. May we tend this fire always, ever vigilant and courageous in the struggle for freedom and justice for all.
Good morning. I am Dave Cicero. I'm Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at Unitarian Universalist Church West. My pronouns are he and his. The story I'm going to share with you today is about someone who had courage to take action and to vote and to fight for those who at the time could not vote, and change the laws in this country so that they could. She did this even at times of great difficulty, great personal challenge and sacrifice for herself. I'm going to start by letting you know that at one point in her life, she was on a trolley. This is in Philadelphia. And you might actually notice that this is before electricity, before engines and cars and that sort of thing. It's a horse-drawn carriage. She went on this trolley. It was kind of new in Philadelphia at the time to get across town. And the conductor told her she had to get off. And she refused. Even a passenger came to assist her and said, well, couldn't she sit in the corner? And she said, I'm not going to sit in the corner either. She was African American. And she knew in her heart that she deserved, just like anybody else, to get a ride on this trolley. Well, the conductor gave her a real hard time and wouldn't even take her money. So she ended up dropping it on her way out when she got to her stop. Now, this is not Rosa Parks. This woman's name is Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. About 100 years before Rosa Parks and her famous time on the bus in the South, refusing to give up her seat for someone else, knowing that she too had a right to that seat as well. Well, Frances Ellen Watkins was born in Maryland back in the early 1800s, and she was born free. She was African American. This was a time when slavery was still the law of the United States, where people were being kidnapped from Africa and brought to this country to work against their will as prisoners, basically, in very awful conditions. Frances Ellen was lucky enough to be raised by some parents whose name we don't know, and also attend a school that her uncle ran for Black Americans, for Black youth. So this was not very common at the time. Very rare for any African American to receive an education, even more rare for an African American woman. Yet she excelled at her studies. As a teenager, despite her education, she had to find work as a domestic servant, working as a maid in someone else's house, a white family's house. This family happened to be Quakers. They had a lot of books, which she took advantage of and was able to read as much as she could, and she eventually became a teacher, and she also became a very prolific author. The more I learned about Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, as she gets her married name later in life, the more amazed I am that many of us, I personally have not heard of her before. She was a very respected author throughout her life. She eventually moved to Philadelphia, joining the Unitarian Church there, and became very active in the abolitionist movement, that is, working to change the laws so that slaves could be freed. She worked with the Underground Railroad, a secret network of households and families who helped slaves escape the South and travel north, eventually many of them arriving in Canada, where they could live free. For even in the east coast of the United States, African Americans, there was always a danger that African Americans would be arrested, kidnapped, and sent back south. In fact, her home state of Maryland changed its laws, and she could not very safely go back home. So she was ostracized from her home state. Her work as an activist influenced her writing. She wrote poems, she wrote novels, and she wrote speeches. She eventually married a man who already had a couple kids, had one of her own with him, stayed home to start raising that child, but then she became a widow. Her husband, unfortunately, died. And she knew she had to make money to raise the family, and her skill was in speaking. So she left her children with some relatives to go out on the road, traveling from city to city, giving her speeches. In doing this, she really changed people's attitudes towards women as speakers. Women in general were not respected as speakers, but she was so good at it that she made lots of fans. Most of her speeches were about black empowerment, that is, African Americans getting an education and working towards the goal of being able to vote in this country. She worked with such suffragists, that is, people working for the women to gain the right to vote, as Susan B. Anthony. She was an associate of Frederick Douglass and some people that in his sphere. And yet, Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, was insistent that the issue of women earning the right to vote and of African Americans earning their freedom were tied together. This did not make her very many friends. People like Susan B. Anthony and some other white suffragists made some racist comments about black men. And she was like, I can't work with you. People like Frederick Douglass and his crowd tried moving Frances Ellen out of her position and giving a man her seat. She said, I can't work with you. So she made many difficult choices in her life. She was a very successful author and lecturer, and gave a lot of money to causes like the Underground Railroad, at great sacrifice to her own personal comfort. Frances Ellen Watkins Harper ended her life in Philadelphia, her new adopted home. She co-founded the National Association of Colored Women, became its vice president, continued writing, and she ended her life, she died there in 1911. Now, today, her work is recognized a bit more. Still not as much as some other famous figures from her time, but she has been commemorated with other advocates, supporters of black voting rights. For example, in this sculpture in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Today in our RE classes, religious education classes, our students will be learning or being reminded of the fifth UU principle, really emphasizing the importance of the rights of people to have a choice in what happens in their life. We'll be preparing postcards that some of you will be then writing on and mailing out. So we'll be working on that today downstairs in the hopes that we can encourage some people to exercise their right to vote in this November. So with that, I'm going to invite Alexa to light our RE lantern up here. And I invite you to join me in singing our children's recessional. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go, as you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go.
What a great story to learn about Frances Ellen Watkins Harper today. I'd like to invite the members currently serving on the UCW board to come forward. So just stand here with each other right in front of me, in front of the chalice, in front of you. They are Jeannie Baker, and they are Lynn Capitan and Larry Hawley and Colleen Grusk and Stephen White and Lisa Larson. We are missing today Kristen Busey and Pam Beatty and the board chair, Rob Zimmerman, all of whom were not able to be here in person today. You know, in a free religious community, to serve really is the highest honor, the highest expression of our commitment and our love. And to be asked to lead is such an honor, and to choose to lead is to be courageous. This morning, the members of the board of the Unitarian Universalist Church West stand before you. They are here not only because of their love for this congregation and because of their willingness to serve, but also because you voted them into office. You chose them. The relationship between a congregation and board is one that, should it be healthy, is one of deep respect and mutual regard. You have asked them to take on the holy work of discernment and guidance. And since the work of the church is the work of the people, they need you to support them in their work, to share ideas and concerns in love, and to offer them trust as they do their best to lead faithfully. This partnership between the congregation and the board in a shared ministry is always sacred, for it is done in pursuit of beloved community. Now, as a symbol of our shared ministry of leadership, we're going to engage in a ritual today that often accompanies the installation of anyone into our UU ministry, the laying on of hands. So those of you who are comfortable, maybe most comfortable doing so, maybe family members first, might come and place your hand gently on the shoulder of a board member. Maybe you guys want to move forward in front of the chalice to make it a little easier. That would be great. And then others come and put your hand gently on the shoulder of a person in front of you. So come on, let's lay our hands on them. Be sure to connect with others and be sure to connect with those who can't come forward. If you can't connect by touch, connect by eyesight. And for those online, we're connecting with you too. So I ask you to intentionally connect with your energy to those here, even putting your hand maybe on the screen. We are a web of community, a web of relationship. Service is an act of faith. Service done faithfully in love is the work of justice and community building. And this is what you have asked of these board members, that they serve you faithfully and well. So now, people of UUCW, will you offer love and trust to your board, responding when they seek your input, showing up when they tell you what work needs to be done, and listening carefully when they speak of the life of the church? If so, please respond. We will. We will. And board members, will you be diligent and faithful in your work, bringing your best selves and practicing self-care and open-heartedness, tending with love the details of the work, and always keeping the goal of beloved community in front of you as you serve? If so, please respond. We will. We will. May our hearts be filled with gratitude for these servants of this church. And may the Spirit of love guide us all in the coming year. May a spirit of joy infuse the ministries in which we engage. And may our shared ministry bless the world. Amen. You may return to your seats.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Mark Stoneberg. I'd like to share something by Robin Tanner, written in 2016. It begins with a quote, words adapted from the song Hold On, sometimes called Gospel Plow. Well, the only chains we can stand are the chains between hand and hand. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Tanner writes, holding on does not come easy to me. As a teenager who left home and bounced around, I am talented at escaping. I can evade like the best of them. I can avoid people who speak truth that's packaged in less than pretty paper. I can leave when the words are ones I do not like. I can hit the road when it gets real. There are millions of reasons to head to Canada right now. But my beloved, what was once necessary is now a mechanism of privilege. Leaving is a privilege that can kill, and loving does not let go. For those with the privilege to escape, we are exactly the ones we have been waiting for. Ones made for such a time, such as this, gifted with all that we need to hold on. I am not moving to Canada. I am not building a blanket fort. I am not blaming disenfranchised voters for this election. I am not mandating the proper peaceful response. Instead, for maybe the second time in my life, I am truly holding on. Hold on. It's a mantra for my white girl self. I'm keeping my eyes on the prize of a land where we the people is more than a broken promise of once and long ago. I'm going to show up. I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to show up again. I'll hold on with the small safety pin attached to my lapel. Hold on to the listen for the story, the pain and promise beneath the labels. Hold on into the night. Hold on in the streets and during the Sunday service. I am holding on, remembering a night in Charlotte, not too long ago, when, before my eyes, a police officer raised his baton to a young black man who spoke truth with arms raised. I am holding on, remembering the queer black leader as they faced the baton and did not waver. I am facing the 53% of white women who voted for the KKK endorsed candidate. I am loving the hell out of this country, hoping it is enough to hold on.
Please join me in a time of meditation and prayer. Still your body and your mind. Calm your breath. Soften your eyes. Turn your attention to the vertical plane, touching the earth, reaching the sky, centered within. Spirit of life, we are here holding on, choosing to create intentional space within ourselves in order that spirit may enter, creating a place for the possibility of transformation. There's so much wrong with the world, so much that we wish were different. So many dreams yet to attain. So much pain and fear and anger. And still, always, each of us has a voice and the agency to do the one thing that we can do, to love the hell out of what matters. Beloved one, hold the pain and the fear. Hold the dream and the fury. Hold us as we hold one another. Call us toward action that affirms what is possible. Call us into being with a love that does not let go. Let's sit in silence for just a moment until the bell rings, and then you can bring yourself back to this time and space. In today's opening words, you heard this line, the words of Leslie Ahuvo Fales. We stand at the precipice, arms locked together like tandem skydivers working up the courage to jump. A precipice, a very steep side of a cliff or a hazardous situation that could lead to harm or failure, to be on the brink. We stand at the precipice. Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, the president of the UUA, also spoke of a precipice in a sermon given in 2020, just before that year's important election. She said then that we were at a precipice, a time when all of our values were on the line. And Reverend Frederick Gray called it a radical act of faith to continue to believe in and to demand that our values be upheld. She said, we can defeat hate and vote love in. You know, voting is an expression of human agency in the democratic process, and it might be likened to crafting a credo, that is a personal belief statement, such as our kids in the coming of age do. Because how one votes, if one votes, can be a vote for values like justice and equity and freedom. It can be a vote for the protection of the planet or the survival of human rights. To vote is to take the risk to love the hell out of treasured causes and values that are endangered. We are at a precipice now, and we were at a precipice 2 years ago, just as the world was at a precipice in the days of Frances Ellen Watkins Harper. You know, it might be true that our society and our human lives are essentially a string of precipice places, times when our individual and collective choices have the possibility of causing a great turning toward health and justice and love, or toward, well, something else. Frances Ellen Watkins Harper chose to use her voice and her privilege as a free, educated Black woman to make a difference. And I would contend that we here today have louder voices and more privilege than Harper could ever have had in her wildest imagination. So the question is, what are we doing with it? I suspect that none of us really feels it takes courage to vote. It's probably not courage, but faith or hope or a sense of citizenship or duty that makes us make the effort to go to our polling places on election day. For some of us, for some elections, it may even be that voting simply requires enough attention to remember to do it. A former member of UUCW, the Reverend Mark Ward, may he rest in peace, once said in a sermon about voting, I believe that there's nothing wrong with our democracy that can't be repaired by applying more democracy. The trouble comes when we absent ourselves and check out of the game, unquote. The trouble comes when we absent ourselves and check out of the game. I don't think I need to waste much breath on encouraging you to vote. It really doesn't take much courage because most of us are blessed with the privilege that makes it easy and accessible. Just do it. Early voting begins October 25th and Election Day is November 8th. And if you want to mail in your ballot, you have to request one by tomorrow. So just do it. There are some pink handouts in the community room that give you more information about all of that, along with a list, I believe, that was prepared by Karen Zimmerman, of resources to help you decide how to vote. What's more important today is gathering the courage to believe it matters, to use what we have to encourage others to vote, especially those voters who are underrepresented or who live where voting rights are being challenged or where access to voting is being denied, whether that be here in Wisconsin or anywhere across the nation. It takes more than a modicum of courage to believe that we can make a difference. And just as an aside, as I was listening to the story about Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, I thought about what it must have been like to live in her time and to think that nothing would ever change. And knowing that there were people in those hundreds of years of slavery who lived their full life under that system and kept working for it to change. And how easy it is for us to give up and think that we can't possibly make a difference. But things do change when we show up. You know, I think those of us with privilege, and I acknowledge that everyone in this room doesn't have the same amount or kind of privilege, but those of us with privilege are kind of miserly with it. We stockpile it as if we were putting it in Rubbermaid containers in storage lockers, hermetically sealed. We've got it, so let's just keep it to ourselves. But it's really quite selfish and small-hearted of us to do this, because it does absolutely no good for anyone for our privilege and power to be sealed away like that. I don't know why we do it. Maybe we're scared of our privilege or ashamed of it or worried we'll play out our power too large and with hubris. But what if we could see it as a powerful resource that could change lives and the world? Why are we storing that privilege and power away? In the book On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century, Timothy Snyder writes this: "Life is political, not because the world cares about how you feel, but because the world reacts to what you do. The minor choices we make are themselves a kind of vote, making it more or less likely that free and fair elections will be held in the future. In the politics of the everyday, our words and gestures or their absence count very much. The symbols of today enable the reality of tomorrow." Unquote. Every day, the choices we make count. What we do today enables tomorrow's realities. If voting doesn't matter to you, well, that choice matters and makes a difference, although probably not the difference you might intend. I challenge us today to choose to believe that voting matters and to use our privilege to take action. We have the opportunity, and I took it on your behalf, to encourage at least 700 people to vote, using postcards provided by the Wisconsin UU Social Action Network, or WUSON, and by Reclaim Our Vote in partnership with the UU The Vote campaign. We'll be sending postcards to people here in Wisconsin, but also to Florida and Alabama, to voters who are underrepresented and whose choice to vote can really make a difference. It will take all of us to meet this challenge. 700 postcards. You can stay after the service to use your privilege to help. And assuming that we're not able to complete all 700 today, you can come back on Tuesday morning between 10 and 12, or you can take some home with you to complete and mail. And if we're still not done, we'll announce more times to come back here for postcard parties. And if we're still not done, well, I'm going to be working through the night to get it done, arthritic hands and all. Please don't make me do that. There's a poem on the UU Worship web by Luke Stevens Royer. The poem is called Prayer Ballot, and it contains these words: "I make my mark with at least a shred of hope that something good will come from this. And regardless, I remember, the world won't be destroyed entirely by this. The world won't be saved entirely by this. Marking my vote is like kneeling in prayer, because neither will accomplish anything right away, but the purpose of both is to remind me of my deepest hope for the world that I'm trying to help create. Marking my vote is like kneeling in prayer. Voting is a sacred practice, a sacred act, and the stakes are high. Lives depend on this election. And mobilizing to get out the vote is a sacred calling to build a world we know is possible. Because what if, packed away in those Rubbermaid containers of privilege, we have the tools to navigate this precipice? What if those boxes contain ropes and climbing gear and safety nets that will save and change lives? What if we would lock our arms together and gather the courage to jump, and instead of falling, we found that we have wings? What if we can use our privilege to shift the conversation and bend the arc of the future toward the world we want to try to help create? It is time now. We are at a precipice. In the words of Nelson Mandela, let us vote in such overwhelming numbers that we show everyone how much we love our country, how much we love our people, how much we love peace, how much we love life itself. Hold on, show up. It is time now. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Lake, and I'm representing UUCW's Split the Plate program, one of outreach and generosity. Each month, we give half of all the undesignated offerings to a nonprofit organization to help us live our Unitarian Universalist values and serve our community. Our October recipient is Neighborhood House of Milwaukee. Since 1945, Neighborhood House of Milwaukee has provided innovative programs for hundreds of thousands of children, teens, families, and refugees. The programs constantly evolve to meet the changing needs of the families and the community. For several years, pre-pandemic, I had the opportunity to teach English to refugees, primarily from Burma, through the Neighborhood House International Learning Program. This is Wisconsin's largest and leading center for adult refugees. It offers adult ELL instruction, employment skill training directly to more than 300 refugees and their families annually. The students may come in knowing no English, or they may have functional English but looking to improve their fluency. In addition to ELL education, ILP offers math, pre-GED, specialized vocational English, workforce readiness skills, parenting, and citizenship classes. ILP also provides a preschool, referrals for trauma counseling and medical needs, and offers job and school support. Teaching English was a humbling experience as I came to understand the terrible trials the students experienced to get to the United States. They often faced peril fleeing from Burma and spent many years in refugee camps, before having the opportunity to come to the U.S. Their dreams for stable employment and eventual citizenship came true as a result of many, many hours of hard work. The parents in the group were so happy that their children were able to get an education and foster friendships with other children. For more information, see the Split the Plate article in the weekly e-news. If you're participating virtually, please go to UUCW's website, Donate tab, and select Split the Plate from the menu provided. Or you can text or mail your donation today using the information found here. Today, I thank you for your generosity to Neighborhood House of Milwaukee and to UUCW. We will now graciously accept your offering.
Okay, so now we're going to sing. That was just a little practice to get ready. And I'm hoping that you all have heard today's song, We Shall Be Known, enough that you're ready to sing it. The words are printed on the order of service with permission from Mamuse. So please stand or sit with gusto to join in the singing, and then remain standing for our closing words. Known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. Thank you. Take a look around. Offer gratitude for whatever courage or inspiration or comfort or connection you found here. Offer gratitude for all of the hands and voices that make this time possible. Our closing words are those of Tanya Marquez, Witnesses of the World, Testigo del Mundo. Lynn Capitan is going to share them in Spanish, and then I'll finish with the English translation.
Es ahora que estamos llamados a ser testigos del mundo, a enmendarlo, a cambiar su curso, a restaurarlo. Es ahora que somos llamados a vivir nuestros valores, a no escondernos, a no temer, sino a ser audaces y a hacer ruido. Es ahora que somos llamados a continuar nuestra lucha por la justicia, a organizarnos, a levantar las voces. Es ahora.
It is time now, when we are called as witnesses of the world, to mend it, to change its course, to restore it. It is now, when we are called to act on our values, not to hide, not to fear, but to be bold and loud. It is now that we're called to continue our fight for justice, to organize, to speak up. It is now. Let us give each other courage. Taking this flame and all of this morning's experience with us, let us go out into the world, fired up to vote. Amen. And now let us write some postcards.